three-legged stool sits in your kitchen. Tell me about it. Doesn't wobble, not like a four-legged stool does. But what could happen to it? Okay, one leg is missing, it doesn't work. What if one leg is shorter? Then it's uneven, it's off kilter. Chiropractic is a three-legged stool if you want to look at it that way. Okay? The three legs, we're going to discuss we're going to discuss all of them briefly in this class, but this class is about one of them. Chiropractic is a philosophy, a science, and an art. Those are the three legs. If one of them is missing, you don't have chiropractic. If one of them is shorter than the other two, you don't have good balance. Two of them are dependent on the other. The science of chiropractic is dependent on the philosophy. The art of chiropractic is dependent on the philosophy. So I will refer to science and art off and on through this quarter, but we're going to focus on the philosophy part of that definition. And this comes from 1927 in the chiropractic textbook, which was the first chiropractic text. There was a book written early on. There were books written before this one, but this one is kind of giving you everything together. Okay? In the first one. There, of course, have been others since. Of things natural. What does that tell you? Philosophy, science, and art of things natural. What does that word natural mean to you? Organic? Natural things in life or in the world? Not modified? Drug-free. Okay? Does that mean chiropractic is vitamins? Vitamins are natural. Philosophy, science, and art of vitamins? How about going out for a walk? Or a bicycle ride, or a swim? That's good natural exercise, getting out in the woods and going for a hike. Does that mean that's chiropractic? Okay? That's why it goes on to say more. But some of us in chiropractic will see that word natural and think anything I do that's not drug related is okay. I can call that chiropractic. And legally, you can do other things according to your state law that licenses you. But we're going to talk about something in chiropractic philosophy called the innate intelligence of the body. Okay, which causes healing to happen in your body. And some people would say, oh, you're talking about religious things, because you can't see this innate intelligence. Religion is in the realm of the supernatural, if we're talking about God. That's why Palmer and Stevenson put natural in there, so that you don't think on the supernatural level. We're still dealing in the natural world. So we're going to have to pick that apart and unpack that. Now, I just mentioned a name that you might not be familiar with, Palmer. D.D. Palmer, Daniel David, discovered chiropractic. That's what the Palmer name comes. That's why we refer to the Palmer name. He discovered chiropractic in 1895. Last month we had our anniversary, 122 years. That's pretty young for a profession. And you will learn in your history class a lot of the steps that we've had to take along the way. Or obstacles that we've had to take along the way, which led to steps that we then chose to take. So we're dealing with things in the natural realm, not the supernatural realm. That's where chiropractic is. It's a system of adjusting the segments of the spinal column. Not the toes. Not the little pinky finger. A system for adjusting the vertebrae, the bones of the spinal column. And it says by hand only. Why does he put in there by hand only? Has anybody been to a chiropractor that made an adjustment to your vertebra using an instrument? And we would call that chiropractic today. Back then, he said hands only. Just like using the word natural to get people away from thinking in the supernatural realm, he said hand only because he didn't want drugs to be a part of chiropractic. He didn't want surgery with instruments, with tools, to be a part of chiropractic. So we have to look at these definitions in the context of when they were written and what was going on at that time. Now, sadly enough, you are entering into a great profession in an era where some chiropractors would like to start prescribing drugs. And Sherman is opposed to that. And other schools might not be opposed to that, which is why they might want to refer you away to other places. Some chiropractors in other states are already passing laws to allow that. And other chiropractors, like people from Sherman, are stepping up and saying, no, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. Right? So then we have politics. Why are we adjusting these segments of the spinal column? To correct the cause of dis-ease. Now that's a great word, but it's a bad word. Because everybody sees disease. It's not disease, it's dis-ease. And what's even worse is when you're typing something in patient education literature, it always shows up at the end of the sentence and the computer automatically hyphenates it and moves it to the next line, and it looks like disease. And then you got to go back in space so it all shows up in one place. Dis-ease. A lack of ease. A lack of health. A lack of ease. We want you to have ease in your body. We want you to have ease in your nervous system. That's what we want for people to have as chiropractors. But we're adjusting the spine to correct what causes that dis-ease. What causes that dis-ease? The subluxation of the vertebra in the spinal column. So, innate intelligence might be a new word for you. Subluxation might be a new word for you. Dis-ease might be a new concept for you. So open the mind, step back a little bit, listen to what these things are about, see if that's something you would like to offer people. You do not have to have disease, a condition, or a symptom in order to be seen by a chiropractor. What do you need to have? Spine. And life. The cadavers have a spine, but they don't go to the chiropractor. So be familiar with that definition. Why are you getting your spine checked? That question is answered by your philosophy. What is being done by that subluxation? That's going to be explained by science. What is being done when you give an adjustive thrust into the person's spine? That's going to be determined by your science. How do you adjust that vertebra? That's your art. As your philosophy instructor, I hope that you all will think about and embrace chiropractic philosophy, but it has to be your choice. But my second desire is that you would all be great artists. Really, really good adjusters. And think of your adjusting style as being your art form. And be good at it. You may think, if you were referred by a chiropractor from a certain practice that used a certain technique, you may think that's what I want to do. But there are many techniques that you could do. Find the one that resonates with who you are and get good at it. What art class are you taking this quarter? Palpation is your first art course. And who's your palpation instructor? I heard Dr. Rick and Dr. Castellucci. Those two names don't go together. Half and half? Last quarter on the midterm, I had an extra credit question. And it said, who is the best palpation teacher? And I got to write the answer key. So you better pick the right one. Philosophy is the love of wisdom. That's what the word means in the Latin. Would you rather be known as a person of wisdom or folly? Many would consider folly to be, silliness to be the opposite of wisdom. Do other healing professions have a philosophy? Yeah, they do. You might not hear them talk about it, but they do. Because what question does philosophy answer? Why? So why do you drill and fill the teeth? The dentist has a philosophy for why they do that. Why do you prescribe drugs? The medical doctor has an answer for why they do that. That's their philosophy. There's even philosophy for sports. Philosophy of baseball. A lot of things have a philosophy. A systematic body of concepts ordinarily with the impact of their application. You will apply whatever philosophy you choose to have. We will see what your philosophy is when we see you in practice. Hopefully you will have thought about it consciously. Right now you have a philosophy for your own health care that you probably got from other people in your life, from watching them. Have you thought about it consciously to say, that's what I want my health care philosophy to be? Or have you just been doing what you saw other people do? So that's part of the challenge for you this quarter, is to examine how do I look at health care? Before I can answer other people's questions, your patients, your practice members, before you can answer their health care questions, you got to know what your own philosophy is. The rational investigation of the truths and principles of being, the truths and principles of knowledge, the truth and principles of conduct. What does rational mean? Or what would the other side of that coin be? Irrational, but more commonly, I make my choices, I make my decisions based on a rational thought process or based on my emotions. Right? A lot of times in couples you find one person that's more emotional, and one that's more rational. My wife frequently accuses me of, she says, why do you have to be so practical? Because she's just emotional. I said, boom, let's do this. Okay? She doesn't want me to think it through. That's what rational is, thinking it through. A critical study of the basic principles and concepts of a particular branch of knowledge. What branch of knowledge are we talking about? Chiropractic. So should we do a critical study of our branch of knowledge with medical philosophy? No. We should do a critical study of our field with chiropractic philosophy, not medical philosophy. Medicine should be doing that for their field. Dentistry should be doing it for their field. Nutritionists should be doing it for their field. They shouldn't be using chiropractic philosophy. They should be using their philosophy. And we should be using our own. A system of principles for guiding us in our practical affairs. So what is the number one practical affair that you're going to have in 3.5 short years? Caring for patients. Your business. Your practice. You're going to have a system of principles that drive your practice. And those system of principles will be your philosophy. My job is to expose you to chiropractic philosophy so that maybe you would choose chiropractic principles. You don't have to. You could practice chiropractic with medical principles. You could practice chiropractic with some medical principles and some chiropractic principles. So that's what we want you to think about. That's hard work. Some days you may feel like your head is like this. Because, golly, I never thought of that, or I've never done that, or why do I have to think about this? What kind of a culture do we grow up in here in the United States or Puerto Rico? Or did we have one from Canada? Right? What is the culture of healthcare? Sick care, meaning who's in charge of it? We grow up in a medically cultured, culturized, whatever, society when it comes to healthcare. So when we compare or when we teach about chiropractic philosophy, the easy thing is going to be to compare it to medicine, because that's what everybody knows. There may be some other forms of healthcare out there that we could compare it to as well. But medicine is the big one, because we're most commonly familiar with that. A systematic body of general concepts. Right? This was on the previous slide. I'm just highlighting it. Explains the why of everything chiropractic. People will frequently come in my office, even after I've taught them what chiropractic is, they still are trying to come to terms with it. They'll see me adjust or checking and adjusting little children on the adjusting pony out in the waiting room. And a common question is, Doc, why are you checking that baby? Why are you checking that child? What kind of a question is that? If it starts with why, it's a philosophical question. And they may be ignorant, they don't know, and they're looking for information. They're curious. But if they're asking me why, they're asking me about my philosophy. Because in their experience, babies and little children don't have back pain. They don't have headaches. They're kids. Why would you be checking them? It doesn't fit what they think chiropractic is. So my philosophy tells me why I'm checking a child. My philosophy communicated to that child's mother, told them why I would like to check that child. And now, since I'm checking the baby, it must be part of mama's philosophy. Some dads, but mainly it's the moms that bring the kids in. If you want to take care of children in your practice, educate the moms. The dads are pretty good at doing what they're told. They may be told, take the kids to get their spine checked on their way home from school today, so that's what they do. But mom's making the decision. The relationship between cause and effect. Everything that you see happening in somebody's body that you can observe, that you might be able to measure, has a cause. There are 33 principles in chiropractic. You will talk about them with Dr. Dooley next quarter in Philosophy 2. He will go through 1 through 33 in order. Cause and effect is number 17. I'm going to mention some of the principles in passing as we introduce you to these concepts. He'll take you through them in order so you see how they flow. Everything that we see in the body has a cause. So if what you see in the body is uncomfortable or dangerous, how can you approach it? Say we got that back pain, and we know something's causing that back pain. What are our options? Treat the pain or find the cause. Which of those is part of your philosophy? Makes sense. Right? When you have a problem with the car, do you look for the cause of the problem or do you treat the effect? When you got a problem with one of the appliances in the house, do you look for the cause or do you treat the effect? How about all of the other things in your life? Do you look at the effect or do you look for the cause? And maybe if you haven't been doing that in healthcare, maybe it's time to start thinking about the cause. Suppose we see this. Great health. That's the effect. That's what you see. What's your question? What caused that? What caused that? When my girls were little and other moms would see that they looked pretty healthy and they weren't missing school with earaches, they would ask my wife, what do you do that your kids don't get earaches? They were looking for the cause of healthy ears because their kids were all the time missing school with earaches. There's a cause of sickness, of illness. There's also a cause of great health. And we'll talk about that. Broad subject explaining all activities and natural phenomena in general terms. Chiropractic philosophy is one type of philosophy. Medicine must have a philosophy to explain why people are sick. Chiropractic has a philosophy as to why people are sick. Why would the medical model of healthcare say you have strep throat?
Because they took a swab of your throat and the bacteria that was in it grew to be what causes strep throat.
Okay, they took a swab of your throat and they saw streptococcus bacteria when they put it in the petri dish. That's called the germ theory. Why do you have strep throat? Because I got streptococcus bacteria. Well, guess what? They could swab somebody else and see streptococcus bacteria that has no strep throat. But that's their philosophy, right? That's how they explain the phenomena of the sore throat. So what might a chiropractor's philosophy of the sore throat be? Why might the strep throat be in you? What about your resistance? You ever heard of somebody's resistance is low and then they get sick? And when your resistance is high, you don't get sick. So we're saying it's not the germ, it's your level of resistance. Bacteria can't grow in a healthy environment. If we're healthy. Bacteria grows in an environment that's healthy for it. So then the question would be, how do I keep my resistance up? Make sure there's no nerve interference. Make sure the nervous system is healthy. Subluxation makes your nervous system unhealthy. Therefore, your body's resistance is lower. What would Grandma tell you to do in order to keep your resistance high? Take a nap. Take your vitamins. Eat your vegetables. All that stuff keeps your resistance up too. We learned that in my family from Grandma, and Grandma only went as far as 8th grade. And yet she knew a lot about how to cause health. So, we're going to be looking at phenomena. Do living things have to have a philosophy in order to stay alive? Is that a requirement? Living things, no. But cognitive people, higher levels of educated brain function, probably do have philosophies. But your dog may not. Your goldfish may not have a philosophy and it's still alive. Why would somebody have a philosophy? Why would you look into your own personal healthcare philosophy?
Possibly increase quality of life.
Okay? You want to increase your quality of life. That's your objective. So why would you look at A and B as opposed to C and D? Looking for meaning? You're curious. I want to find out about some other ways to stay healthy. This doesn't seem to be working, what I'm doing. I'm curious. Maybe I should be drinking more water and less Coca-Cola or beer. You're curious. What's going to be the best for me? You're an athlete getting ready for training in your big event. You're going to start to experiment with different philosophies that are going to help you to get to your objective, which is your desired outcome in that sport. So you might want to look at your philosophy behind your training. And then look at the training itself, which would be the science. Okay, so curiosity is going to drive your philosophical pursuits, your philosophical questions. Can it be a powerful tool in changing lives? Like I said, my grandmother finished the 8th grade. Raised my mom and my uncle on chicken noodle soup and a blanket if they were sick. Told them to go outside and play. That's exercise, fitness. Told them to eat their vegetables. That's nutrition. take a nap, get a good night's sleep. My mom taught all of her kids the same thing, plus used pharmaceutical products. In one generation, all of those pharmaceutical products were added into our family. And then my wife and I, by me studying chiropractic and discussing it with her, we're raising our kids differently than my mom raised us. We put four kids through the public school system, K through 12, so 40, maybe 52 years, right, if you include kindergarten. And they missed 2 weeks of school between the four of them. And didn't take antibiotics, never took a cold formulation. How do you do that? Is that life-changing? Yeah, they were drug-free kids. So our philosophy was a powerful tool for changing how we did things. And in the other direction, the medical philosophy was a powerful tool causing my mom to change the way she did, differently than Grandma did. So you just think about your life. Think about your health philosophy right now for yourself. What has it been? What would you like it to be? Can we use philosophy for judging and evaluating what we know? We should. Why did I do that? That didn't seem like the smart thing to do. Stayed out late 3 nights in a row, and then I failed my exam because I was exhausted. Why did I do that? That's a good philosophical question. Right? And our big question is coming back to always the why. So we'll jump into contrasting this against science and art tomorrow. Holler at me if you have questions, but think about this.